Okay, we're nearly there. Final speaker of the day. So this, yeah, we're going to bring on Andrew, who is community manager at Battlesnake.
Hey, Sam.
Most people, hey Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing
I
well.
guess quite a lot of people don't know what Battlesnake is. I do, because yeah, it's the kind of silly stuff I like doing. But I got playing with it. But so yeah, hopefully this will be a fun one to end up the day. I'd say I think it's really interesting for the Node-RED users perhaps as well, and the mission of Battlesnake. I'm sure you probably go into this a bit, but the kind of idea of teaching people to code, because there's a lot of people coming into Node-RED who certainly don't come from a coding background and a structuring background. So, hopefully this will give them some food for thought on how just to play and learn, because some of us learn better by playing. But,
Absolutely.
Anyway, so I'll bring your slides up. There we go, and over to you.
All right, fantastic. So thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around until the bitter end. I'm super excited to be here today to kind of close things off here at Node-RED Con, talking about Node-RED, Battlesnake, and how you can use these two spectacular technologies to kind of level up your flow and become a better programmer. So to kick things off, just want to give a little TLDR on what this whole talk is going to be about for anybody who's like, it's the very end of the day. So as I'm sure you all know, it's often pretty difficult for developers to find practical ways to explore new tech. Side projects are often used and can help, but they're really often kind of boring, intimidating, and lonely to work on. But don't worry, there is a better way, and that's what we're going to be talking about in our talk today. So a couple things we're going to be covering. Learning pathways for developers, so traditional learning pathways, challenges to those existing pathways, a different approach to learning, why Battlesnake and Node-RED kind of fit together as this amazing pairing, and then we're actually going to do a practical demo. If everything goes okay, everything goes well, we're gonna get a practical demo in here as well. So first things first, start things off. Sam introduced me a little bit, but a little bit more. My name is Andrew MacLean. I'm the community manager for Battlesnake Inc. I'm going to talk a little bit about in the next slide about what Battlesnake is, but then we'll spend some time a bit later. I'm the co-founder of High Tech U, a university-based boot camp for teenagers to learn software development skills. I'm also a middle school science and technology educator, and I consider myself a novice web developer. I'm new to the learning journey. I mean, I've been learning for a decade or more, but always consider myself a novice in learning new things. And so exactly what Sam said, not everybody's coming into this as a trained developer, and I certainly fall into that camp. And if you're interested in connecting with me, there's my details there. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So what is Battlesnake? Because I know if I don't tell you now, you're going to wait till the end and be like, what is this Battlesnake thing? So Battlesnake is a multiplayer programming game where your code is the controller. If you recognize this thing on the right-hand side, this is both Battlesnake and something you may have seen in another life before, especially if you used to play the old Snake game on Nokia phones. Battlesnake is taking that concept and turning it into a programming game. So each Battlesnake is controlled by a live web server. Battlesnakes move independently. They try to find food, avoid hazards, and stay alive as long as possible to be the final Battlesnake standing. And so we're going to look at exactly what that means for everybody in terms of learning in just a couple of minutes. But I want to get started in terms of our talk on this learning pathway bit with a bit of a conversation and a question to everybody around how developers are often learning about new technologies. And so you can throw these things in the chat if you want to. I think I can see the chat. I can see the chat. If you've got some ideas, but I know there's a little bit of a lag between this. So I'll pause for just a second and throw it to people. What are some ways that developers are often learning new tech? All right, so we got some answers that may start coming in. But in terms of ways that developers are often learning new tech, there's sort of three big ways. Side projects are a big way, online courses, as well as coding challenges. Now, the downside is these three ways that are often being used in learning new technologies. Side projects are often intimidating. Online courses can be lonely. And code challenges are often really, really limited in scope. And I think all of those sort of intimidating, lonely, limited in scope ties into all of these different sort of traditional learning pathways. But don't worry, there is another way. So built by developers for developers, Battlesnake aims to break this cycle of developer despair, creating an innovative learning sandbox for experienced devs. So this stuff that I'm talking about with Battlesnake ties in so closely with Node-RED that you can kind of use the two technologies really interchangeably. But when I talk about the cycle of developer despair, what do I mean? So you want to learn a new technology. So you start a side project. The side project's difficult to start, it's only to work on, or it's focusing not quite on the way that you want to get there, and most end up going nowhere. And then you kind of repeat that cycle. So Battlesnake kind of sets to break that cycle. And you can see like Battlesnake fits in this really interesting space in terms of sort of developer learning experience, in that you've got a lot of things. So side projects and open source projects and to-do MVC are often really introductory, and while they're really open-ended, they're fairly basic. Now, when you go into more, you can go into more prescriptive learning that you have a little bit more direction if you're learning. So you've got things like online courses and interview prep and coding puzzles. And then if you want to get more technical experience, so if you're a professional developer, you already know a lot of these things, that's where you move into this idea of sort of competitions and coding games and conferences, and I see books and blogs. But again, those are very prescriptive. So Battlesnake kind of fits in this really unique spot. And I think Node-RED does that. It's very self-directed, but also allows for you to cover a level of technical expertise that is far beyond the basics. All right, so how could developers be learning new tech, and kind of how do Node-RED and Battlesnake fit into this? So Battlesnake, we kind of showed that it fits in that space, but there's some specific features of both Node-RED and Battlesnake that make it kind of a really great stack for learning new technology. So both Battlesnake for learning Node-RED and Node-RED for learning Battlesnake. So first thing, collaborative. So both Battlesnake and Node-RED are collaborative and supported by a global community of developers. Both Battlesnake and Node-RED are open-ended. They can be as simple or complex as you want them to be, as well as sort of all being very open source. So Battlesnake, a lot of the snakes and a lot of the things we'll be looking at today are very open-ended as well, but open-ended and open source, and definitely that's a big piece here, and accessible. So engaging, accessible to developers of all skill levels, whether you're an experienced developer or you are a new developer that's just getting into this world and wanting to explore new technologies. So how do we know that this is a thing that works, this sort of world of collaborative, open-ended, and accessible learning sandboxes and tools and platforms? Well, we have statements like this. So this was actually from one of our super users on the Battlesnake platform. So they use Code of Battlesnake as the way to learn new algorithms and techniques and technologies, which is great. And then we've also over the years seen a huge number of devs that are sort of indicating that they're learning about new platforms, languages, and tools through our platform. So obviously some platforms that are there, and then some really cool strategies and techniques that apply both in the world of Battlesnake and then more broadly in the technology space as well. All right, so we're going to get into a demo in just a minute that will be kind of showcasing this amazing way that Node-RED and Battlesnake can work together. But to get started, I actually want to give you a run through of how Battlesnake actually works. So as I said before, it's a multiplayer programming game. This is actually how the system works. So the Battlesnake board is requesting from your web server that you're creating. So as a developer, you are building out a Battlesnake, which is a web server, a really simple one. And our game engine is sending requests to your server. So our game engine is sending GET and POST requests. And what we're doing is at the end of the day, sending some information about the game board and the state that it's in. And then your server, your Battlesnakes, are responding in up to 500 milliseconds with one of 4 directions to move, either left, right, up, or down. Now, the stack that you use, the technology, the everything that sort of wasn't discussed here is because it's very open-ended. You can do use whatever technology stacks, whatever languages you want, language agnostic, platform agnostic. But at the end of the day, as long as you can create a web server with the technology and you can return a response of up, down, left, or right, then you can play the game. All right, so here's a really brief overview. This is the Battlesnake API, and it's kind of a reverse API because, again, you're building the web server that Battlesnake Game Engine is talking to. But here's the important things you need to know. We've got these 4 endpoints, so that is going to be more clear as we get into the demo in just a minute. And here is what you'll be getting if you are looking at a GET response to that just base URL. You're going to receive an empty request from the game engine, and you're going to respond with this awesome JSON that's here. And this JSON, the color, will give you the color, the head and tail. We have customized head and tails. And then it's going to make this JSON is going to make your Battlesnake look like this. And then the other really important one is the post request. And so when you send when a post request comes through, you're going to receive a game ID, how large the board is, the turn number, Battlesnake locations, all the rest of that stuff. And then, like I said before, you're just going to be responding with either up, down, left, or right based on the information that you receive. All right, so let's jump into a live coding tutorial. We got about 10 minutes left, which is perfect. And what we're going to be using today is a repository that I've open sourced that I've made available for everybody. So this is a wrapper for deploying a Node-RED-based Battlesnake into a platform called Railway. Railway is a great alternative to Heroku now that Heroku is phasing out their free tiers. And so if you are interested in checking this out, the link to the repository is at the bottom there, and you can also follow along. But we're actually going to go and show you what that looks like in a second. But before we do that, want to send out some huge acknowledgments to some of the amazing open source developers that contributed to the code that has ultimately become this new Railway Quick Start. So the top 2 there have contributed some of the open source logic that's used in the more advanced Battlesnake. And then both IBM, Atsushi, and Sam, the one and only Sam, contributed to the sort of base of this, which was a Node-RED Heroku wrapper that I've just kind of converted into a Railway wrapper to make it nice and easy to start. So let's jump over into our repo. So I'm going to get that open right now. And so if you come over here, we've got a deploy to Railway button set up there and ready to go. And this is going to be the experience you're going through. So you're going to get your GitHub. We're going to actually do all of this in real time and hope that it goes fast enough for us. And thanks to Sam, all of these environment variables are already set up. So we're going to click deploy. And now it becomes a little bit of a waiting game. This will take a couple of minutes to get started. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up what you'll get once you have successfully deployed your project onto Railway. And what's great about Railway is this is putting your server, obviously a lot of us do our development on Node-RED and localhost. This is putting it up in a web server with a password and a login. So you're ready to go without having to use any extra nodes like ngrok or anything like that. So you can see that our new Battlesnake Node-RED wrapper is building right now, but I have already got one built and up and running. And this is what you would see if you went to that the domain that is produced, the URL that's produced by this Node-RED server once you go. And if you look at this, you might say that looks very similar to what we saw over on our initial GET request. And that's because it absolutely is. So let's jump into our Node-RED editor and see what's going on. And oh, amazing. We have successfully built. So I'm actually going to use this one. which is throwing an error because there's a little bug with this where you need to reset it a couple of times just to populate the database initially. But once I've done that, I'm going to leave here. I'm going to leave here. I'm going to leave here, and we're going to go to this. There we go again. And so exactly what we had before. So let's head over to the editor, and we're just going to go. We've set this up already. So we're going to head over to the editor, and you'll notice here we have got username and password set up. And just as you might imagine, we were looking for a great username, very secure, battle, and our password is snake. And we're going to log in here to Node-RED. Amazing. So you'll notice this if you've set up a new Node-RED instance. This is sort of the tutorial that you get. But what we have actually put into this this initial flow that has been created in here is taking some amazing work that Sam had already done, adding a few more documents so you kind of know what's going on in a little bit more of a meaningful way. So if we go back to what we were seeing over here in the in that main domain there. So this is telling the Battlesnake game engine what your Battlesnake looks like. So we're going to head over and actually create a new Battlesnake really quickly. And we're going to head into build from scratch. We're going to create a name. I'm going to call this our Node-RED Battlesnake. And we are going to toss in that same URL that is giving us this JSON and toss it right into the URL. We'll set everything except the one thing we'll want to do is add a Node-RED tag in there. Awesome. Save that. And here we go. So we've got our Node-RED Battlesnake set up there. You'll see the latency is there. Our Node-RED Battlesnake is in and working, but maybe I want my Battlesnake to be a more intimidating color and maybe a more intimidating head or tail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over into our empty get request, which is where all of our Battlesnake customizations are stored. And just using the basic HTTP in, HTTP out, and our template nodes here, we're going to change our head to lanternfish. We're going to leave our tail as is, but I want to make him intimidating. So I'm going to set the color as jet black, and we're going to save that. We're going to do a deploy, and then we're going to head back over to here. We should see it update, but more importantly, if we go back over to the platform, we are going to see it refresh here and update. And there we go. Now we've got our lanternfish head, we've got a jet black, and then we've got our default tail. So we've updated our metadata there. Now, you've got a Battlesnake in here. We talked about those other, the move endpoint. So we want our game engine to talk to our move endpoint. Let's see what that looks like. So we're going to head over here to our create game. We're going to create a custom game. And we're going to find our Node-RED Battlesnake, add it onto our map. Awesome. And we are going to, we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to press play, start our first game. And you can see that I'm getting a response here, bad HTTP status code. And that's because you may have noticed I had a few things disabled over here in our flow. So some of our flows, the nodes are actually disabled. So obviously, our get is telling our Battlesnake game engine what our Battlesnake looks like, and allows for us to use some really default nodes that are in there. Our start and end, those are really just there for allocating and deallocating resources, which isn't super important for us when you're just getting started with Battlesnake, but some useful things to have in there. But what we're going to do is start to look at these move requests. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enable these requests here. And let's just go enable these selected nodes. And I'm going to deploy that. And now if I head back over and create a rematch, my error should be gone because now there is something actually going on at that move endpoint. There we go. So we're still going up, but we're not getting the same error. Now we're getting a response was not received. So that makes sense because we weren't actually sending any information in this node, but we were actually in our debug collecting some information about the game. So I'm going to rerun this one more time just to show you what this looks like. And I've cleared those the debugging. Awesome. So we had that error, but we were still getting our information about the game and what was going on to make our decisions. So now we need to send a move, and we're going to get started with sending a really basic move into here. And I'm going to disable these again. Awesome. And I'm going to enable the next step, which is setting a move and we're going to enable those. Perfect. And we're going to deploy that and clear that. Now, we don't have any debugs set up here. Our message payload isn't going anywhere, so we shouldn't have anything that shows up in debug. But we should see our snake be able to move now because we've added this change node in here, and we've set our payload move to right. So if everything goes well, our snake should go right this time when we create a rematch. Let's see what happens. So if everything goes right, our snake should go right, no errors, and our battle snake has gone right, just with that single change node in there. All right, so we're going to go back and we're going to go into our node red again. We're going to set our move to, let's set our move to left and done, deploy, and head back over, create a rematch, and let's play. It should go left this time. There we go. And we'll do one more. Let's change it to down and deploy. Awesome. Down and deploy. Done. Deploy. So now our next game should have him going down and deploying. Amazing. Now, the last thing that we need to do in here, especially when you're just getting started, is you want to have that logging so you can see what's going on. So if I disable these nodes really quickly, and enable these final nodes, putting it together with our payload, our debugging. Let's enable and enable selected nodes, and let's deploy this. And now if we go in here, we should be playing a new game, and amazing. We're going right, which is what we want to do. And you'll see some messages. So you can see the decision, the game data, and then the decision that's coming from there. Now, there's one final node in here that I'll leave for you to explore once you go in here and use the Node Red Railway starter. And that's some more advanced Battlesnake logic. And you can see we've got a few more nodes in there, but we're about a couple seconds from being away. So I'm going to jump up here really quickly and just say, so let's jump back over to here. So if you are looking to get involved in Battlesnake, to check it out, we've set up a code Node Redcon on the Battlesnake platform. So if you use Node Redcon, there'll be a surprise head and tail combo that's coming to you. And if you're interested in learning more about Battlesnake, you can check out play.battlesnake.com. Here's all of our social stuff. And now I'll turn it over for questions. So thanks, everybody. And hopefully you'll be exploring Node Red with Battlesnake and Battlesnake with Node Red soon.
Cool. Thank you, Andrew. Awesome. Sorry, I was just sneaking my. I've just been loading up my my Battlesnake flow because I haven't looked at it for a while. And,
I love it.
Yeah, it's. I really I didn't keep up as much this year, so I need to go and I need to make some changes. I don't think it doesn't handle the new maze mode and stuff. But I'm just wondering. Yeah, we haven't got any questions yet. Maybe let's just bring. I'll just bring mine onto the stream. So this is the last version of as it's called, Nodeconda Red. So you can see it can get quite addictive. So this is the incoming move here, and then all of this, and there's quite a lot of function nodes in here. So I'm doing quite a lot in JavaScript. Then I've got some stuff doing the obvious stuff, you know, a function to avoid the walls, avoid yourself, avoid the snakes, avoid head-to-heads. Yeah, it's and these are my versioning was each one in a new tab, so I could have slowly built it up, and I've got tabs like go to food and, you know, avoid corner, escape deep hole, and this one was called aggression. I can't remember what I changed that one to make it more aggressive, but
I love that.
Yeah,
and you know, I gotta say, like, I've definitely found that Node Red has I think opened a door. So I've worked for Battlesnake, been in the Battlesnake world for years now, and it wasn't until discovering Node Red that I've been able to really build out a functional Battlesnake in a really quick period of time. So as a tool to explore Node Red, it was super practical for me, and then it just they work so well together.
Yeah, it's that rapid sort of change something in a web browser, hit deploy. Because, you know, even especially when you're running on something like Railway or Heroku or some classic, that kind of change, build, deploy cycle with traditional code is a bit more kind of is a lot slower when you don't have that instant gratification. Whereas here, like you say, in you know, in I think 8 minutes, you deployed about 4 different versions or something of your snake. So that was really quite cool. Let's bring that back. So we've got one question from Pablo. Are there team competitions? Good question.
Yeah, absolutely. So so there's a couple of things. So obviously developers may be going in here to explore new technology. So there's like just running the games like I run them. There's also challenges that you can run that are really basic challenges to kind of work your way through some set game modes of like, don't run into the walls, don't hit other snakes, follow food. And then we have our leagues, which are competitive leagues that happen sort of 3 or 4 times a year. And then we also have this new feature that is a tournaments feature. So you can access a beta feature here and run your own tournament within your company. So we have a lot of companies that are saying, we're doing a hack day. We're really interested in using something new to engage our developers and learning this new tool. And so we actually will grant access to developers to access that new beta feature.
Like a private tournament. Cool. I was just thinking, yes, obviously, yeah, there's the sort of, there's the, you compete in the leagues or in the tournaments for different levels. I did reasonably well in the 2021 ones. I think I got into the playoffs and things with a node red, so a low code snake. It was the first one, but yeah. What I'm just thinking, the interesting one is nobody's done anything where you've got sort of snakes cooperating yet, but there's.
So
that could be interesting.
there was a classic mode that used to exist and doesn't anymore, which was where you actually completed. It was a squads game, and so basically you had to code against other teams, but then you were not able to die if you ran into snakes that were on your team. So allows for you to do that collaborative styling there. Yeah. So it's been done, but we pulled it away, and I have a feeling it'll come back very soon.
I'm thinking about the idea of having what looks like 2 separate battle snakes, but them sort of communicating via a back channel as well to gang up or something. That could
absolutely be. And it's Ken. And I think the great thing about Battlesnake and Node Red as well is there's so many use cases that are there. Somebody years ago created a Battlesnake that was hand controlled. So back when we hadn't had the 500 millisecond, somebody had built out this hand control that you could go faster than the 1 millisecond timeout at the time period. People had done a face controlled snake where you respond to machine vision. So there's some really cool things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and yeah, it's really cool to see that railway build for so it's a Node Red runtime for railway, and then you've added in the Battlesnake example flows.
Exactly,
in there. But, exactly. Take a look at that, and maybe we can do something to wrap that up into a thing. I also noticed it probably needs updating because it's Node Red 2, which is still supported, but we really should get that up to Node Red 3 at some point. But,
awesome,
cool. Well, just seeing if we've got any more questions, so we'll give it a second. But I think probably getting towards the end of the day. I think Nick's here to join us. If we bring Nick, do you want to join on unmute without warning? No, so you've finally seen what that Battlesnake thing I was going on about last year was with every daily stand up. I was like, oh, my snake's been doing this.
So what do you think, Nick? Is it going to be a Nick versus Sam Node Red Battlesnake? I feel like Node Red needs to be at the top of that leaderboard for the rest of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My mind is currently racing, and I need to put those thoughts to one side so I can talk coherently for the last few moments of today's stream. But no, it looks really cool. And more seriously, I think there's we get lots of questions with Node Red in more educational settings. People often asking, often say, oh, it's like Scratch, and Scratch is very much more accessible to a much younger audience. Node Red, I like to think, Scratch is for the I was going to say primary school, but for the international audience, for Scratch is great for up to your 11, 12-year-olds. Then they tend to move on to Python and the like. But Node Red also sits nicely in that, could sit nicely in that space as well. But it's the activities. You've got to have the activities that engage, and it's all well and good having a really good programming environment, a language, whatever it might be, but it's the activities, it's what you do with it. That's what really engages people. You don't learn Node Red for the sake of learning Node Red, but I just love the whole concept of Battlesnake, and I think, I say, my mind is racing for what we can do.
As well. Yeah. And I got to say, I do agree. The fact that in 8 nodes, basically, you are able in a flow to build a functional thing, I think speaks to that really basic feature of this block-based programming, low-code environment. So totally agree. And thank you so much for kind of letting me close off the conference today, Sam and Nick.
Cool. Thanks very much, Andrew.
And thank you very much for joining us. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.